Shipwreck, Part 2. A group of liberals from the city has gathered for a weekend reunion in a converted farmhouse belonging to their friends Jules and Richard. We've met Allie, Andrew, and his partner Luis. A couple, Jim and Mare, arrived late, having witnessed the birth of a friend's newborn named Hannah. We've also met a white farmer, Lawrence, who told us about his adopted son, born in Kenya. In a moment, we'll return to the farmhouse, rejoining the liberals as they attempt to salvage their evening. But first, Jim addresses the new life he and Mare have helped usher into the world.
I have no idea who you are. New bright spark, little fresh spurt of light. As far as you are concerned, time begins now. Began 13 hours ago. 13 hours ago was the dawn of the era of Hannah. If I know anything, I know that you are not innocent. Because we should not call innocent the person who has not yet committed crimes. For there lies a well of criminality and stealth in all of us, and in you too, little Hannah. A wealth of lies and hypocrisy and self-dealing and rapacity, and there is no telling what you are capable of in the years to come. You will reach into the world for a way to ratify yourself, your urges and emotions and impulses and prejudices. You will extend your hand and find religious principle, social principle, political principle, science. You will clench your fist around them only to find, when you finally relax your grip, they have run through your fingers and your hand is empty. You will speak of love and in the same breath enjoy what it is to hate. Little well of sin and joy and damnation and salvation. Who are you?
The end of the world. The beginning.
Only your charisma saves you. Your spooky, inexorable charisma. The purity of your need looks like innocence.
There are already inches, or an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches.
Was that 30 minutes of cloud cover? Was that even 30 minutes?
And then the sky opens and plop. We were warned.
Oh, people are always warning. Weather people are only fuss budgets.
I could have sworn it was too cold to snow.
That's a myth, Andrew.
I think driving to the restaurant is fine, probably. It's driving back.
I don't think driving there is fine. I can't see more than 20 feet.
You go slower. Yeah, it's a game of chicken.
Live a little, Allie.
Do you guys have four-wheel drive?
I'm going to be totally honest and admit I've never really known what four-wheel drive is.
But the answer is no.
No?
We don't have four-wheel drive.
We don't have a four-wheel drive, everyone.
Oh,
whoa. We're going to make a kind of soup with a ketchup base and some leftover pasta and frozen peas. And, delightfully, there are hot dogs in the back of the freezer.
This is wonderful news. Is there mustard?
There is no mustard. Are you going to freak out now?
How can there be no mustard?
Mustard hasn't come up yet.
You've had this place 6 months. What did you eat those hot dogs with, originally?
Ketchup and relish?
Damn it.
Weirdly, mustard was on the list.
Where is this list?
The list.
Yeah.
It's,
May I?
Here you go.
This is a good list, Richard. It's a very good list. On paper, we are eating really well.
I think this is a good time to remind everyone what's important is that we are together.
Yeah. These napkins, these water glasses?
Yes.
These aren't actually copper, are they?
Through and through? No, they're plated. Thank you, Jim.
Plated, of course. I really like it. Copper forks, it's revolutionary. Wait, I'm having a total cutlery freakout. Spoon goes on the...
Outside.
Of course. No, I'm just sick of Ivanka waving her children around all the time every time something blows up in Trumpland. You go to her Twitter feed, and there she is clutching a baby to her chest. It's so calculated. I'm like, leave your kids out of it, for God's sakes. That Fox and Friends interview about how excited she is to be in New York for her brother's baby shower, and oh, goodness me, Comey's testimony before the Senate Intelligence Committee? No, goodness, no, that's not why she's in New York. She's not there to, goodness, scuttle around behind the scenes and stamp out fires.
Do you think that maybe, just maybe, she actually cares about baby showers?
I find that extremely hard to believe. Do not forget that Ivanka is a liberal. Ivanka is a New York liberal. Why should she care more about baby showers than any of my New York liberal friends?
Yeah, but that family's basically a cult. They're celebrating the dawn of a new Trump.
Well, then maybe it was the way she said it I found stiff and artificial.
Allie, I thought you were complaining Hillary lost the election because she was stiff and artificial in public settings, but you thought that was a corrupt metric by which to judge a person's actual level of sincerity and engagement.
You guys, this is ridiculous. Let me just show you this Ivanka clip and you will understand exactly what I mean and agree with me, and we can drop this. Give me your phone.
My phone doesn't have the internet.
What do you mean your phone doesn't have the internet?
It doesn't. It's like a little gadget phone. It's here.
Wow! Like you see advertised where elderly people congregate. So this is basically a little walkie-talkie device for communicating with another human over a distance.
Using your mouth, yes. Although you can also send a written communication, if you boop, boop, boop it like so.
Whoa.
That is fascinating. Why on earth?
I wanted to be able to decouple myself from the great media information, social media teat. I wanted to give being a solo being in the world a go. I wanted...
The monkey.
Right. That darn monkey. I wanted the monkey off my back.
Only now you don't know anything.
Only because your phone fucked up.
You're like one of those people who won't get vaccinated and coast off herd immunity. Your integrity of spirit at the expense of my soul.
Summertime. Outdoors.
I would be lying if I didn't say there was a way in which I thought... I considered parenting to be a thing you do both from joy and from duty. It isn't just about pleasure. It's about the continuance of, of it all. The work of generations. And I would be lying if I didn't say that something I did wonder about in his infancy. Because if a boy looks at you and you can see you in his face, or your mama or granddad, that's a shorthand nature has created for I'm exasperating, but don't kill me. There's a kind of, I always assumed there was a sort of twang of blood calling to blood. I think for my wife, for Lori, I think women are different on this, like on the timeline of this and those emotions. I mean, I don't know. That's not something we ever discussed. But as it turns out, the first time someone reaches out to you and calls you Daddy, and when he sees you, his grin just about cracks his face open. When you leave the room, he sobs. And when he lunges for you because he needs you and because he wants you and he doesn't know which is which. You become that boy's daddy.
The farmhouse.
Jules, what are these little green flecks?
Oh, yes, they're dried chives.
Dried chives. Dried chives.
There were dried chives in my mom's spice cabinet.
Me too. I think they were there my entire childhood. I think they might be there still. I think they might literally be 48 years old. To ask her this, I didn't know hip modern people use dried chives.
The dried chives weren't here when you moved in, were they?
No, you guys.
Were they?
This place was stripped bare, I swear it. No, I got these. There was this recipe on the internet. I wasn't thinking.
I like them. They had flair.
I'm going to tell you the lie which should destroy Donald Trump. Which should be his kryptonite.
High stakes there, my friend.
Which you do not know.
Oh, I very much doubt that. I like to fancy myself somewhat of an expert, bit of a connoisseur of the repertoire of Monsieur Trump.
You don't know it. It took place in front of millions of people.
He's obsessed with this.
But not only do you not remember it,
Wait for it.
you don't care.
We don't care.
Nope.
All right, partner, shoot.
You could not stop him at this point if you tried.
This takes place early on during the primary debates.
Not narrowing it down.
In the Ronald Reagan Library, the second debate. This lie takes place about an hour, 45 in, right after a line of questioning on the Iraq War.
Yes, I know this one. I bring this up a fair amount. This is Trump saying that he was against the Iraq War, which is not true because
Howard Stern.
Because yes, on Howard Stern.
Yeah, this is one of the moments when the media...
He's very pro-war. I mean,
This
it's all
is
on
one
tape.
of those
it's
moments
on Howard
where
Stern.
the media makes an ass of itself. He makes a remark on Howard Stern. People lunge at it like it's proof. Proof! He supported the war.
He did support the war.
If you actually listen to that interview, do you support going into Iraq? Yeah, I guess so. The man could not sound less enthusiastic. He's carrying the conversation forward. There's no evidence he was pro-war.
Okay, but A, no, he's very pro-war on Howard Stern, and B, no, that is not
He's
the only...
not, and that is...
No, on several occasions...
Can you name them? What is this evidence you're so certain of but seem unable to marshal, which proves that Donald Trump made public statements in support of the war?
Wait.
You don't have it.
Off the top of my head, no, I'm not encyclopedic, but my phone knows all about it.
Allie, you are actually part of the problem and not part of the solution. You don't have any evidence he was solidly for the war. There is not one drop, and you are playing
Whoa
into
there,
their...
Louise. All I need is a working phone. Richard, where is your working phone?
This is a no-phone dinner. This is absolutely a no-phone dinner we
What
discussed.
side are you on?
I'm on the side of no phones whenever possible. I'm just absolutely no. This is like sacred or something, or it could be if we acted like it. No, she said, phone said. I'm quite serious about this.
Allie, the phones aren't working.
What?
The phones aren't working. The storm.
Oh, really?
The weather still matters.
I'll be. Damn.
Okay, traitor.
Fine with that.
And Louise, I am threatening you with phone knowledge after the storm. When the storm passes, the phone and I hold you to account.
And I have no fear of your threat because I've looked into this 6 ways from Sunday and you were playing exactly into their hands. They're not idiots, you know. They are not creatures without eyes, ears, brains, powered only by a singular hatred of the other. It's more complex than that. There is zero evidence he was for the war. And I'm actually totally willing to believe that he was against the war.
Oh my God!
He's not a pious man. He's not a patriotic man. He's not a man loyal to any ideology. I'm willing to believe he looked around him and saw what was being reported in the press. And do you remember the atmosphere of that time? The weird way the war very slowly but surely became inexorable. I am absolutely willing to believe he looked around him and was able to be clear-eyed about it and say to himself, you know what? I bet this is bullshit.
Oh my God.
Wait, is that the lie? That he didn't lie? I'm confused.
The lie takes place in the debate. We're in the Ronald Reagan Library, and there's a question about the Iraq War. Everyone with a record on the war is trying to worm out of it. Jeb Bush most of all. This line of questioning is really designed to thump presumed frontrunner Jeb, and Trump is sidelined during this, which he cannot stand. And so he lunges in. He says, "Excuse me, but I have to say something. I have to say something." He says, "It's about judgment."
Judgment.
His expression is set and resolute. In his eyes, fiery conviction. I am the only person on this dais, the only person that fought very, very hard against going into Iraq. Because I said going into Iraq. That was in 2003. You can check it out. I'll give you 25 different stories. In fact, a delegation. And later on Fox, he clarifies that this delegation is from the White House. A delegation was sent to my office to see me because I was so vocal about it. I am the only person up here that fought against going into Iraq. Now, just excuse me. I would like, and I think it's important because it's about judgment. It's about judgment. I didn't want to go into Iraq, and I fought it. Because what I said was, you're going to destabilize the Middle East, and that's what happened. So, maybe that did happen. Maybe he was a big, famous anti-war hero in 2003. Who would just make that up? No one can remember the past. And for a brief moment, there's keen excitement while everyone runs around looking for the 25 stories. But no one can find even one. The campaign won't return phone calls. And then there's some other dust cloud, and most everyone runs after that. And he gets away with this insane, fantastic fantasy. And why? Because the liberal media has been drilling down with malice and with precious little evidence on the idea that he was a warmonger. So these two images, neither of them true, cancel each other out.
Huh.
Do you remember this one?
Nope.
Dimly?
Now you, Allie, you don't care about this.
I care very much. To be honest, I'm probably still kind of pissed off at you for being either wrong or right earlier. So I may be bristling with prejudice towards it, but I totally care. Obviously, it's outrageous, but is it like a fancy pants
I'm not sure I have it in me to
lie?
care
No.
about another lie. I mean, I'm mainly exhausted. Not because I was up all night birthing a baby, politically exhausted.
Richard, already? He's only been in office 6 months, you big sissy.
You don't care because you're liberals.
Speak for yourself there, friend.
And radicals. And this is just another silly lie. But for Trump supporters who do not know he lies.
Bullshit.
No, I am giving it to you straight, my friend.
They know full well he's lying.
No, it's fascinating. Something they say again and again is, yes, liberals are always telling you he's a liar, but ask them for proof and they just can't do it. The murder rate is at a 49-year high. The borders are swarming with invaders. Illegal aliens rove the land, casting millions of ballots for Democrats. His lies capture their anxiety perfectly. Someone is finally speaking the great unspoken. Someone is finally telling the difficult truth and correcting them on figures, facts. This is meaningless to them because they have their eye on a bigger picture. They genuinely believe. I'm not talking about my clients or colleagues, some of which are big time. They know exactly what they have elected. a delivery system for the Supreme Court. They have been pleasantly surprised by the deregulation. I think some of them have been tickled by the nationalism, if we're honest about it. But normal, everyday, Trump-loving people genuinely believe he is a man of real integrity. So, show them this lie. Show them the footage from this debate and explain to them, carefully explain to them as they watch it, that not one single thing he is saying is true, that this deeply committed portrayal of a man of honor is only a performance. It's such an interesting thing to see. They are actually unable to understand it as a lie, literally unable to take that in. Their eyes kind of glaze over, and at the end of it, if they have any spirit, they'll say, well, there's actually no way for you to prove he wasn't a famous anti-war hero in 2003. And then they very badly want to talk about Hillary Clinton. This lie is a dirty bomb, a fundamental challenge to his identity. He makes himself up from thin air. Nobody cares. I find it freaking fascinating, and don't I find it frightening? When did the rules change?
Wait, what article is this from? Where are you getting this?
Now that is an interesting question, isn't it?
A lot of this is in bars. Actually, bars in the New York, Metro, Jersey area.
These are real Trump supporters?
He's striking up conversations about the weather, and then, what do you know, it politics. And all the while, he moves slowly and steadily like an adder towards this.
How long have you been doing this?
Is this just where you happen to be? I didn't think you guys had time to go to all these bars. Is this a
gay sex thing? Jesus, Jules.
A year.
Oh, I never know. I never know what you're all like.
After work. A lot of it is after work.
This is his way of winding down at 10 at night, if you can believe it.
I don't know about winding down.
10 is after work?
Yeah, sometimes 11 is after work.
When are you sleeping?
I don't need a lot of sleep.
Not unlike Donald Trump.
It's it's a lot of the secret of my success.
Ceaselessness.
Sleep is really important. Dreams are important.
Andrew, you're doing this too?
I'm usually not there. I usually choose not to be there. I think it's punching down.
That's because you think they're stupid. They're not stupid.
There's often a pretty acute educational differential.
Which often puts me at a disadvantage, to be honest.
But let's just be, you're not showing this to your Trump-loving colleagues. You're not running this little routine on your clients.
No, of course not.
Yeah, this isn't really about education and the facts. This isn't entirely about the truth.
Not at any cost, it isn't.
I mean, it's a little bit about frustration or power or frustration. I mean, if we're going to talk about the truth, power, I mean, there's a dynamic going on there.
Which isn't entirely savory.
I mean, right?
I think any prophet is a pretty ragged and unseemly character, no?
Whoa.
Prophet. Wow.
Uh-huh. I said obsessed, right? Why the hell did Obama just accept $500,000 to speak to Goldman Sachs? We are all alone.
We are backed in a corner, however, so we will fight fiercely.
Yeah, but remember that they feel exactly the same way. Trump supporters also think it's a big epic battle of good and evil. Everyone in their corner is fighting for their very lives. It's not great. Huh.
Why did we roll over when fuckface, turtlehead, chuckle nuts, Mitch McConnell refused to give Merrick Garland a hearing? God, that was idiotic. I don't even know how many people held their noses and voted for Trump because they wanted a Supreme Court.
Yep.
And where were you people? Why was I on my own on that one? It's a social media summer full of baby pics, dog pics, food pics, and impassioned posts about Donald Trump. And there's me, voice in the wilderness, shrieking, "Let the people decide." Let the people decide? The people have already decided, thank you very much, by electing Barack Hussein, yes, I am not afraid to use his God-given middle name, you alt-right fuckers, Obama, in basically a landslide, and thereby authorizing him by the awesome power of the United States Constitution to nominate highly qualified people to the Supreme Court until the moment of his term of office expires. Those Garland posts got so many likes. No one actually cares. What a bad moment for no one to grow a pair.
Wait, is this to us specifically?
No, of course it isn't to you specifically. It's pretty much to every liberal or even just Democrat in existence. But seriously, where were you guys? Why didn't this matter to you? Why didn't you freak out? Obama couldn't freak out. Obama wasn't allowed to freak out. Let's be candid. They wouldn't have pulled this maneuver on a white president. They wouldn't quite dare. They sniff the fragility of that landslide or no, the essential fragility of his mandate. They sniff it in the wind. It stirs in their own hearts, and they drive the knife in. And Obama can't push against this. Can't explain he's been outmaneuvered, can't name why or expose how much of his power is only the momentum of the office. And listen, not to get my panties in a twist, but why? Am I the only person who cared about this? This is a serious question.
Okay, so this is to us specifically.
Yes, it's to all of you specifically. You all had access to the news. You are all on my social media. Except, of course, you, Jim, you freak. The Republicans stole a Supreme Court justice under our noses. Why did no one do anything about this?
What would you have had us do specifically?
Care. Make phone calls. Write letters. Storm the barricades. How about make phone calls? Did you make a phone call? Did any of you make a single phone call? I had numbers on my numerous social media posts, which I am confident many of you liked.
You know, I don't have the kind of career or lack of family obligations that allows me to follow every single twist and turn of the American political system with the same degree of attention that you are able to bring to it.
Okay, burn. And also lame.
Burn. Lame. Have we been transported back to the 80s?
Allie, a lot of people knew all about it and didn't get their panties in a twist because Hillary Clinton was going to win and make that Supreme Court appointment herself.
Mm-hmm. So you were going to let them get away with it. Because it was futile, you let their wickedness stand.
Allie, tell me again precisely what exactly you were doing. You were posting hysterically on social media? Forgive me for not paying close attention to yet another social media post about how I should make phone calls or send postcards and be irate. Why didn't you do some actual thing about it in the actual real world, using your genuine body? That might have bestirred me from my intensive law practice torpor. If someone I know actually throws themselves into a breach, I might follow.
I made phone calls. I made a lot of phone calls. I spent a lot of time looking at screens, just typing into screens, thinking about screens. Mitch McConnell crosses the Rubicon, and we should have been in the streets. I should have been in the streets, and I wasn't, because I couldn't be bothered, because I was mesmerized by all the political screens, mesmerized by all the great TV, and pondering what I was going to eat for dinner. But why weren't you better than me? Why wasn't someone better than me? The Republicans wanted us, the best of them. They wanted us in the streets. They wanted an excuse to be able to say, well, we tried, but the obstructionist Dems. Because now what is going to happen the next time we've got the Senate, they know perfectly well they've opened Pandora's box. And the next time we wriggle our way back into power, we're gonna hold them down while they squirm. Who wants to endure that? We are gonna squeeze that stolen justice out of them. And now the Republicans, who began this process as a reasonably principled and non-principled set of humans, are gonna have to do crazy things, go to crazy lengths, things they would never have dreamt of, to keep power. Because who do you fear most? The person you've wronged. Who will you go to any inhuman length to repress? I mean, look at the South. History. All those scary, scary, scary wronged black people? We're those scary, scary wronged black people now. They know what they did to us, and they'll do anything to keep us from doing it right back to them.
That's a slightly dramatic
Allie, shut up.
analogy, surely.
Yes, 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 sure. Absolutely. But it's not wrong. The best Republicans will feel like this is temporary, like a sort of political version of martial law. No one wants to think we won't go back to the way things were before. No one thinks things have really changed. But things have really changed when we weren't bothering to look. Hello?
How's your antique wiring?
The wiring's fine. It's the power lines you want to worry about.
Open the door. I want to see the storm.
There's got to be some perspective where I can see us in some way as evil. Intellectually, I can't believe we are totally right and they are totally wrong.
Schumer. In 2007, Chuck Schumer.
What about?
In 2007, Schumer announces that the Supreme Court is dangerously imbalanced and that the Democrats should block any further Bush appointments.
I don't remember this, but wait, did we?
Did we block any appointments? No. There were no vacancies.
So this is all strictly theoretical.
So that doesn't count.
It's a provocative statement.
It's not a provocative action.
But isn't speech action in politics? Isn't that half or more of why we object to Trump? The civic conditions created by his speech? It's a precedent. I mean, this all builds up by increments, right? It's kind of a game of chicken.
And the Republicans actually do it. I mean, that's the point. They're the fools who actually break the back of, whatever you want to call it, norms, fragiles, constructions.
It's true. Poor bunnies. They get stuck with the receipts.
Ooh.
Ooh, whoa.
And darkness.
The snowstorm has defeated us.
I think we look wonderful in candlelight. Are these beeswax?
Mm-hmm, yeah, I dipped them myself.
You are fucking kidding me.
Uh-huh.
You dirty hippie. No offense, Jim.
None taken.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh, my
Winning.
hooray! Whoa.
These hot dogs aren't half bad.
They're a little freezer burny. We got them our first weekend here.
They remind me of the hot dogs of my childhood, the first hot dogs of the summer, left in the freezer from the winter before, which it did not occur to us to discard, although they were flawed, because they were food.
I voted for him.
Did you say something, Louise?
Me? No.
Will you pass me that relish?
Oh my.
And we're down for the count.
Trump Tower, 2003.
Mr. Trump?
One moment. Yes?
Mr. Trump, there are some people here to see you.
They don't have an appointment.
No.
Make an appointment for them. I have half an hour next Thursday, don't I?
You do, but... Oh, they're from the White House. They...
Ah. I know why they're here. Is the president with them?
No.
Please thank them for coming, but I am a very busy man. Come.
Mr. Trump, the President of the United States.
Mr. President.
Donald, good to see you. Good to see you. How's Melania? Gorgeous, as ever?
She's doing all right, Mr. President. Thank you. And I hope Laura is well.
Donald, you can call me George, I think. It hasn't been that long.
It isn't often that I entertain the President of the United States. I don't gain anything by pretending you're another man.
Not at all. Not at all.
Your job isn't an easy one, not in the best of times. I appreciate you stopping by. It isn't every businessman who can count on a visit from the President.
It isn't every businessman who refuses a personal invitation to the White House.
It's an honor to be asked, a great honor. I hope you'll count me in the future. And I'd love to get you on the green again as my personal guest.
I appreciate that, Donald. I really do. Listen, maybe I should cut to the chase.
I can't tell you how much I would respect that, Mr. President.
You have a magnificent view. It used to be a very different skyline.
I knew a lot of good people. Both those towers.
We don't like to talk about what happened to the Pentagon, but I'll tell you this, in confidence, a lot happened to the Pentagon.
These are terrible times, sir, terrible times. At a time like this, I'll tell you, it's good to be a builder.
Well, we need all the builders we can get. We need that mindset.
That's exactly what it is, Mr. President. It's a mindset. I don't see an obstacle. I see an opportunity. And when I see rubble, I don't see an injury. I see a way forward.
Well, God bless you for that, Donald. God bless you for that. I mean that. I really do. And please, call me George. So listen, not to beat around the... the reason I'm here.
Yes.
Nobody wants a war. God knows I don't. But if it comes to that, and it may well come to that, I will need this nation behind me. The support of the American people.
Mr. President, with all due respect, I must tell you, I think a war would be an enormous error. The Middle East is a tinderkeg right now. The last thing we need is a spark.
I understand your point of view on this, I really do, but I ask you to understand that as I move towards this decision, I am operating not only from the information you've seen in the papers, but from other, sets of intelligence. This is a decision
which must be made by a tightly knit group of government professionals who live, breathe, eat, sleep, excrete a particularly Washingtonian set of assumptions about the way the world works.
Donald, we're dealing with some real bad dudes, with some real bad hombres, as we would say in Crawford.
It's certain that you're in a position of very awesome responsibility, which God knows I don't envy. And at the end of the day, I'm just a builder. Let's not forget that. But I speak my mind. Mr. President, if I'm known for anything, apart from the work my company does, I think I'm known for that.
You are, indeed. There must be hundreds of stories out there.
25. There are 25.
I pick up the Times, the Washington Post, New York Post. Trump says, stop this rush to war. Trump Tower to White House, cease and desist.
This isn't personal, Mr. President.
George, why don't we just cut out a level of bullshit and talk man to man? You've been swinging at me pretty hard in the press. I think you can call me by my first name.
Fair enough, George. Roy Cohn, who was a very great friend of mine, a gentleman and an extraordinary lawyer, a man who has received a very unfair treatment in the American theater. Roy Cohn used to talk about the power of the bluff. And what is a bluff? Not a lie, a falsehood. A bluff is a strategic reimagining of the situation. It's a moment when you create a new reality. It doesn't matter what you're holding. When a man looks into my eyes and sees a high hand, that high hand exists. Men in government, I have noticed. Men of government, they can't bluff to save their lives. And why is that? I'll tell you why. Stakes. The government doesn't stand or fall because of the actions of one man. My business stands or falls because of one man, this man. Stakes. That's what gives me the cojones to will a winning hand into existence from the thin air. When I look into your eyes, George, I don't see two pair, a straight, or a full house. I don't see stockpiles of yellow cake, and I don't see a man who can make his own reality. I know you're lying. To me or to yourself. And so I also know that you're about to tear down a world you don't have the power to rebuild.
You know, Donald, as a businessman, you have a very enviable luxury. If you don't like a deal, you can walk away from it. For the President of the United States, there are times when there is no clear-cut right and wrong.
When you have to gamble.
I wouldn't put it in that way, but yes.
Mr. President, I like to think I know a little something about gambling. Atlantic City is an important part of my portfolio. Here's something it's crucial to remember. I'm a very wealthy man. I'm a very wealthy man because there is a limit to luck. And I've calculated that limit. I'm wealthy because few people are lucky. So I have to ask you, Mr. President, this one question. Do you feel lucky? Do you?
Donnie boy, the decision to go to war is not something any nation takes lightly. But if the United States of America goes to war, we win. If we step forward fearing only God, but not any man.
Fearing God. That's right. You're a God-fearing man, George W. Bush. Or at any rate, that's how you've always described yourself to me. Well, fear God now, Mr. President. The fate of this republic is in your hands. For God's sake, George, use your judgment.
You can question my leadership, Donald. No one can stop you from doing that. It's a free country. But if you question my faith, then we're going to have to come to blows. Man to man.
I would like that, Mr. President.
Uh-huh.
I would like that very much. The Secret Service?
I'll handle the Secret Service.
And when I win?
Unlikely.
When I win, am I to take only a strictly personal satisfaction?
We'll make a bargain, Don. When I win, I secure your endorsement and your public support for any military engagement in Iraq.
And when I win?
In the event, very unlikely, that you win, set your terms.
My terms. My terms are nothing less than your office.
The presidency of the United States of America?
I think I could really make a difference. Your family has been in power for a long time. If DC is a swamp, you're the biggest crocs in the water.
Spit it out, Donald.
We're going to come to blows, you and I. And I'm going to win. And then you're going to set up a meeting between myself and Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell? United States Senator from Kentucky and future Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell.
The same. I think that son of a bitch and I can hash ourselves out. A deal.